And tonight's live stream is going to be so important. It is going to be something that if you don't understand this, if you don't know what I'm about to share over the next 30, maybe even 45 minutes, it's going to really hamper and get in the way of you trying to turn around your marriage. It's going to get in the way of you understanding what is going on in your marriage. So I strongly encourage you to pay good attention to this. This is being recorded, so if you want, you can go back, take notes, really dive into it, because understanding marriage cancer, I know what it did for me, for my marriage. I know what it did for the hundreds of men I've worked with. I know what it has done for so many relationships, for so many families. And the key over here is to truly understand, like I said, what in the world is marriage cancer? And number two, and perhaps most importantly, do you have marriage cancer? And if yes, what not to do? There are certain things that make marriage cancer worse, and there are certain things that make it better. I'm going to talk about all of that tonight. The key to really understanding what's going on in your marriage is to first have a correct diagnosis. Sometimes I call it an x-ray. If you went to a doctor and you said, doctor, I have a lot of pain in my head, I have a lot of pain in my chest, and you're complaining about it over a long period of time, at some point they will do an x-ray, a CAT scan, an MRI to find out what in the world is going on. And I think one of the biggest problems out there when it comes to turning around a marriage is that most men rush into the process of trying to fix their marriage, trying to communicate to their wives about themselves, about their changes, trying to talk about the past, or trying to avoid talking about the past. Whatever it is, men typically rush into the process without really understanding what they're up against. What is going on in their wife's head? What is going on behind the scenes in their relationship, in her heart, in her thoughts, in her decision-making process? And if you don't get it, it's going to create a lot of heartache. What marriage cancer means in simple English is, and let me know if you relate, is that your marriage is stuck. Let me know in the comments. How many of you feel your marriage is stuck? Stuck, which means your wife is stuck, you're stuck, the marriage is stuck. And what does stuck mean? And let's go very simple, and then we're going to go deeper and deeper as this lesson evolves. On a simple level, stuck is very easy to know. Look back at the last 3 years or more in your marriage. Has it been getting, over time, has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse? Or is it just stuck? Let me know in the comments. What has been going on in your relationship? Okay? And the reason why this is important is because you got to understand a basic thing about marriage. A lot of marriages, or just about all marriages, have some form of challenge. They have some form of a struggle. It's normal for couples who live together over a long period of time to sometimes have disagreements or have different ways of looking at the same thing. So it's normal for marriages to have some level of up and down. However, and this is the important piece, this is the most important piece, over time, an okay marriage, a healthy marriage, even though it goes through those little bit of downs and it has ups, over time the marriage gets better. It does get better. It's meant to get better. God designed it to get better. It's not meant to be stuck. It's not meant to get worse. Over time, after a couple has disagreements, and they should be understanding each other's needs better, they should be able to understand each other's communication better. That's what happens over time in a healthy marriage. Now, so you have to answer this question yourself. You could do it in the comments. You could do it on a piece of paper if you want. Is my marriage getting better over time? Is it stuck, or has it been getting worse? Now, if it's getting better over time, then this video is not for you. You'll gain a lot from a lot of the resources here. You'll gain from a lot of clarity, but what I'm about to outline for you does not apply to you. But if your marriage is stuck, or it has been getting worse, then you probably have what I call marriage cancer. And we're going to dive deeper into what it is, but I wanted to give you the basic outline of what it is. Now, let's go deeper. What does stuck mean? There are 4 ways to measure stuck. Let's talk about your wife's, interaction with you. One way of stuck is and let me know if this applies to you. Your wife gives you a list of things to do, and she says, hey, if you do these things on my list, then our marriage will be okay. Our marriage will improve. We will have a better relationship. We will have a better connection, right? And you go ahead and you do that list. And then what happens is a couple of weeks later or a couple of months later, she complains about the very same things that you just did. And whatever's on the list doesn't even matter. Whatever she said, I want you to help more around the house, I want you to be more available, I want you to, whatever it is, it doesn't make a difference. You can do all those things on the list. But at the end of the day, if you have marriage cancer, what you're going to see is she is going to keep, either, number one, she's going to keep complaining about the same things, despite your best effort, or, this is also very common, number two, and this happened to me as well in my marriage quite a long time ago, but I do remember what it was like, is that I did the list, and then she complains about something else. So you do all those things, and you think you're doing well, only to find out a couple of months later, or sometimes just a couple of weeks later, no, there's other things that are a problem. And then you go ahead and you do that list, and then it keeps changing. Another way of measuring stuck is that she blames you. When you're trying to work on the marriage, and when you're investing in the relationship, and when you're trying to put, your better foot forward, she says you're not doing it the right way. Those are three very common ways of seeing marriage cancer, to spot it in your marriage. And the fourth way, this usually happens over time. Like if you don't fix the marriage cancer and it sort of lingers in the relationship, so it does usually deteriorate. And what happens is she starts becoming more cold. So she won't even tell you what to do for the relationship because she's not interested in working on the relationship. She's not interested in fixing it, so she's not going to even tell you what she thinks she wants you to do. Okay? Let me know in the comments which one of these did you experience. All right? Now, let's go from a different angle. Like I said, I'm going to help you spot marriage cancer, so I want you to see it from different directions. There are 4 stages of marriage cancer. All right, I gave it to you now in a bunch of specific ways, but I want to give you now the stages as it goes from, stage 1 through 4. Stage 1 of marriage cancer is where the couple is living together. They're sleeping in the same bed. And there's no conversation about separation or divorce. It's not been mentioned. It has not been brought up. There are no affairs going on. He's not cheating on her. She's not cheating on him. There's no addiction in the relationship. They usually have a couple of kids as well. And there's usually been a very strong background of, like, at some point they both knew that they were meant for each other. Whether they believed they were soulmates or they just knew they were meant for each other, that doesn't matter. But the point is they had a very solid connection. But what stage 1 of marriage cancer what usually happens is that the intimacy, the emotional connection is just not there. It's not the same. So the intimacy may be a struggle. The woman may do it as a chore. The wife may just do it as some sort of an obligation to her husband, but she's not into it. She's not excited by it. Or in some cases of marriage cancer stage 1, she may be interested in the intimacy, but just in the physical component, not in the emotional connection, just in the physical release. But there's an emotional disconnect, which is very, very painful for a husband to experience. So either the husband has given up on initiating intimacy, or he keeps getting rejected. But typically, marriage cancer stage 1 usually shows up as a breakdown in intimacy, a breakdown in emotional connection. There's constant misunderstandings of each other. Sometimes these misunderstandings will go into arguments. Sometimes they'll become more cold, where she'll shut down and ignore her husband more. Nothing I'm saying is a judgment of women. I'm just describing marriage cancer to a group of men in a safe place so you can understand what it is, so you can get a grip on what it takes to turn it around. That's typically stage 1 of marriage cancer. That there are problems in communication, there are problems in emotional connection, there's a breakdown in trust, there's a breakdown in intimacy, but there is no mention of separation and divorce. Stage 1. All right? Stage 2 is where there is already conversation about separation or divorce. the woman has already brought up. Typically, it's the woman that has brought it up. Sometimes it's the man. Rarely it's the man. 95% of the time it's the woman that has said, you know what, I need some space. We should do a trial separation. I want you to move out, or I want to move out. The concept of separation or divorce has already been brought up. That is stage 2 of marriage cancer. Stage 3 is where there's already a separation. And the reason why it's important to recognize the stages is because there are different solutions, different strategies for each stage. There are also different problems and challenges that present themselves in each stage. And tonight's training is not going to be long enough to cover all of that, but it's important for you to understand where you are in the framework of marriage cancer. Are you in stage 1, 2, 3, or 4? Because it does give context of knowing where you are. Like I said, diagnosing the problem has to come before before you do a surgery. You got to get an x-ray, you got to get a CAT scan, and this is part of the process. Okay, stage 3 is where there's already a separation going on. Separation may be an in-house separation, so they're sleeping in 2 different rooms. It may be an out-of-the-house separation. Stage 3 will also apply in a situation if the woman is in an affair, whether it's a physical affair or it's just an emotional affair. That is stage 3, because her heart has already opened up to another man. It's a further progress of the marriage, getting worse. I don't want to say falling apart, because it is possible to fix it, but it is a clear indication of the marriage deteriorating on some level. And then stage number 4 is where the woman is not even hiding the affair. She's not even trying to hide it. She's flaunting it. She's not ashamed by it. In some cases, there is also an addiction going on. There may be a background of addiction. Maybe the husband is an addict. She's an addict. There may be maybe they're active addiction, drug, alcohol, or pornography. It may be something in the past, but there is a background of addiction, which will typically bring a marriage into stage 4 of marriage cancer. And the difference between stages 1 and 4 in a general sense is usually how long you will have to work on it in order for it to turn around. It's not like you can't turn them around. It just takes more time. So the equivalent, if one guy is overweight 25 pounds, another guy is overweight 150 pounds, they may use the same strategy and the same solution to lose their weight, but it's definitely going to take much longer for the guy who's weighing 150 pounds. You know what I mean? Does it make sense? Let me know in the comments if you're getting it. Tell me at 1 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10, how much of this are you processing? This is deep stuff, but I've found that the only way to really heal a marriage is for a guy to be willing to go deep, for a guy to be willing to take the time to understand what is going on in his marriage. How come his effort is not working? Why is it that sometimes his best intentions and the love he has in his heart is not affecting his wife? Why is it sometimes even backfiring? It's important to take the time, and that's what we do over here in this Facebook group and going deep. And that's why it's helpful when you watch these videos to interact, answer the questions, comment, and give feedback, because that's the way you're truly going to grow. That's the way you're truly going to get open and start seeing a whole new way of winning back your wife, reconnecting with her heart, and having an even better marriage than you had when you started out. All right, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's just go one step at a time. Now, it's important. We just spoke about 4 stages of marriage cancer. It's important not to get too stuck on what stage you're in at this point. It's good to have a general idea, but what I want you to understand is stuck means stuck. It is true that most marriages that have marriage cancer will go from stage 1 to 2 to 3. But what's important to really note is that stuck is stuck. And the reason why it's important is because it's actually easier and quicker to fix a marriage with marriage cancer stage 1. Although, here's the trap. A lot of guys with stage 1 marriage cancer are unwilling to admit it. They're unwilling to look at themselves and say, yes, I have this problem, and I got to fix it right now. They will usually wait. Statistically, it's not a pleasant thing. The reality is most men with marriage cancer will usually wait till it goes to stage 2 and 3 before they actually get serious about doing something. And at that point, it does take more work, and there's greater risk, and there's greater heartache, and it's more frustrating, it's more painful. Okay, that's why I'm giving you an outline of these stages, so you benefit from it by just being honest with yourself and being self-aware what's been going on in your marriage and what's not been going on. All right, so that is how you spot marriage cancer. Let's talk about what makes marriage cancer worse. All right, now there's a few guys with me, but I know a lot of guys are going to watch the recording. So let me know if you, so far, is it clear at this point? Let me know in the comments. Now, what makes marriage cancer worse? So, on a simple level, what makes it worse is, number one, involving your wife. There are a couple of more mistakes and we'll talk about them. But number one, the biggest mistake by far, the biggest marriage trap that men fall into when they have marriage cancer is they try to involve their wife in the process of working on the marriage, of fixing the marriage. They tell the wife, tell me what I need to do, tell me tell me what you want, tell me what you need. They try to involve their wife in fixing the marriage. And I'm going to explain to you why it doesn't work. Now, the fact that it doesn't work, you already know, because if your marriage is stuck, then you have already tried to involve your wife in the process. You've already, been doing her lists or trying to figure out what she wants or just doing what she tells you or guessing. So you know it doesn't work. We just went through 4 different ways of showing she's stuck. You do what she wants and she complains about the same thing. You do what she wants and complains about something else. She blames you for doing it the wrong way, or she's just outright cold and indifferent and not interested in working on the marriage. So you already know she's stuck, okay? But men, regardless of the fact that they see their wife is stuck, they're still literally addicted to trying to get their wife to work on the marriage and fix it with them, because they believe that without it, they won't be able to turn around the marriage. And marriage counselors and therapists have the same problem, the same misunderstanding. Now, it is true that eventually you do have to have husband and wife working on the relationship. The problem is that just about all men make the mistake of trying to involve their wives prematurely in the process, whether they're doing it just by talking to their wife or trying to communicate to her or by trying to drag her, to counseling. They make the mistake of trying to involve their wife prematurely in the process before they have made a proper, healthy, strong, powerful emotional connection with her. And it's like putting the cart in front of the horse. It doesn't work, and that's one of the reasons why counseling doesn't work. There are a bunch of reasons, but that's one of them. Okay? Now, the reason why it's important to understand why you can't involve her, so you already know you can't involve her. We already spoke about it in detail in today's class. But why can't you involve her? It's important to understand this because the fact is, let's be very simple right now. I know I spoke, this is pretty deep topics that we're speaking right now, and it's, the marriage is stuck because she's stuck. Right? That's not rocket science. Why is the marriage stuck? Because she's stuck. Typically, the reason why the marriage is stuck is because the wife is stuck. Right? The assumption over here is that you really want to make it work. You're putting in your heart. You have good intentions. You really care about her. You really love her. You want to make her happy. You want to honor your vows, but it's not working. You're not getting the type of emotional connection you want. You're not getting the trust, the intimacy, the respect, the passion. It's not there, right? Why is it? Because she's stuck, right? So it's important to understand, why is she stuck? Very important to understand this. And this is not a judgment. This is not a blame. This is just a fact. It's important to diagnose before the cure. It's important to have an x-ray before the surgery. And this is part of doing that for your marriage. All right? So why can't you involve her? Number one, if your marriage is stuck, in other words, if there is marriage cancer, and we're going to go deeper soon to explain, how to heal it. Once you understand how to heal it, you'll understand the whole thing better, all right? That's why I said in the beginning, you may want to watch this more than once, because it's going to really help you understand and unlock things about you and your relationship and your wife that will blow your mind. So, like I said, you may want to watch this more than once. But when there's marriage cancer in a relationship, a woman has the belief that she wants her husband. She gets this thing in her head that says, I want him to figure it out. I don't want to tell him what to do. He's a man. He should know what to do. He should figure it out. And she may have even said it to you. Let me know. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with me. Be honest with other men over here. Let's do this together. How many of you have experienced that your wife tells you, you should know what to do? You should know what not to do. You should be a man. You should figure it out. I shouldn't have to tell you. Did your wife ever tell you anything like that? Answer the question. Be honest about it. All right? And that is one reason of why you can't involve her, because she believes you should figure it out. And therefore, here's the main point. Since she believes that you should figure it out, she's not going to give you helpful information. I mean, that's in a nutshell. It goes a lot deeper than that. It goes a lot deeper, but we'll sit here for hours if we have to discuss that. Okay? But in a nutshell, she believes you should figure it out. And therefore, she will not invest her full heart in the process, which again is another reason why counseling doesn't work. Number two, she very often believes that she already worked on the marriage. She already believes that she invested her heart in the marriage. And by the way, it might be true. This is not a judgment of her. This is just my reaching into your life, into your heart, and explaining to you what's going on behind the scenes, why you can't involve her, why it actually makes marriage cancer worse. Because when you try to involve her and you push her, even if she will agree to work on the marriage, and even if she will agree to go to counseling, if you have marriage cancer, number one, she believes you should figure it out. Number two, it's extremely likely that she believes she already invested her heart in the marriage. How many of you guys, your wife has told you, I already tried. I already put in my heart. I already put in 2, 3, 5, 8, 10 years, whatever it is. And the woman the wife very often believes that she tried and her husband didn't try. He didn't put his full heart in, or he didn't put in his heart at all. And therefore, she doesn't want to. So even if you drag her and you convince her and you argue and you somehow manipulate her or convince her to work on the marriage, she will not invest her full heart in the process, because she believed that she already worked on it. She believes she already tried. And that's why you'll have very, very often, we'll have a situation where a guy is, working on his marriage, and he dragged his wife to counseling, and they find out 3, 6 months or a year later that she was involved with another man, or she had a full-blown affair while they were in counseling. This happens very often. Why is that? Because her heart is not in it. In order for a husband and wife to work on the marriage together, number one, she has to have her full heart in it. Number two, she has to appreciate the efforts her husband is making. And number three, your wife has to give you helpful information consistently. She has to give you real helpful information that when she says, this, and this will make the changes. If you make those changes, you should see the benefits. You should see the emotional connection getting better. You should see the trust getting stronger. The intimacy should be getting sweeter. She should be initiating. She should be enjoying. If you do what she says you should do, it should be getting better, not worse, and you shouldn't be stuck either. Right? Now, so here's the point. Let's wrap it up, all right? So when you have marriage cancer, she's not able to invest her full heart because she believes, again, you should figure it out. And number two, she believes she already tried. Very often. Even if you have one of those reasons, that'll be strong enough to keep her stuck. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's almost funny and it's tragic. Regardless of what I said, a lot of men are still addicted to wanting to make their wives work on the marriage with them. And they're so addicted to it that when the moment the wife makes one move towards them, where she says, okay, I'm willing to put the divorce process on hold, I'm willing to work on the marriage again, they rush headlong into trying to work on the marriage and convincing her without understanding what led up to this problem to begin with. And men very often, myself included, will ignore the past of, when I say myself included, I'm saying I remember what it was like many years ago when we had this problem, where the moment that my wife made an overture where I felt she was more open to me, I was willing to let go and ignore the fact that we had a history of things getting progressively worse over time. And the problem with this is, if you ignore the fact that, like I said in the beginning, one of the first questions I asked you was, has your marriage been getting better or worse? Or is it stuck? right? If it has not been getting better over time, you have marriage cancer. Like if over time it's been getting worse or you're stuck, you have marriage cancer. The problem if you try to work on the marriage with your wife, the moment she makes a move towards you is you have no concept of what created the marriage cancer. You may see the big, ugly things that may have happened, but you won't see the small, little things that you weren't aware of for many years. It just doesn't work that way. You just can't see it. So the point I'm making over here is that every time you accept the up in the marriage, it gets a little better, you get excited about it. If you don't actually heal the root, you don't get to the root of marriage cancer, the next down, the next time your wife loses trust, the next time she says, now I'm really giving up, now I'm really done, every time that happens, the marriage gets worse because her heart closes a bit more every single time and she loses more trust in you every single time. The worst thing you can do is to get your wife's hopes up and then dash them again and again. And that's why I said before, particularly in marriage cancer stage 1, a lot of where in theory it's sort of technically easier to turn around a marriage and to recreate strong passion and a strong emotional connection and a strong friendship and a relationship, but that's the exact time where men actually don't realize the history of marriage cancer. They just say, oh, she's willing to work on it, so here's how I'm going to do it, without truly understanding what feeds the marriage cancer and why it's probably going to happen again. Sooner or later, you're going to go through that cycle of where you have the down, and each down gets more worse in the sense that it becomes more difficult and more painful to deal with it, and with her heart closing. All right? So to sum this up, the only way, before we move on to to a couple of more mistakes, the only way to involve your wife in the process of fixing the marriage is if she has a full heart invested, she appreciates your effort, you see you're making progress, and she gives you helpful information. And when she has marriage cancer, it just won't happen. Okay? And again, that's the exact reason why counseling and therapy typically does not work for marriages, because of the reasons that I just told you. Now, there are more mistakes. Mistake number 2 is focusing on symptoms. So, God forbid, if somebody has regular cancer, so they may have symptoms. There are symptoms of cancer, and then there's actual tumor. Symptoms might be vomiting, headaches, dizziness, exhaustion, lack of sleep, dysfunction, pain. God forbid. It's a terrible thing. The real problem, though, everybody understands, is what? Let me know in the comments. What's the real issue? Is the real issue when you have cancer, is the real issue the vomiting? Is the real issue the pain? Is the real issue the headaches? No, the real issue is the tumor. And until you don't fix the tumor, you're going to have those symptoms. Now, the same thing applies in a marriage. You may have different types of symptoms, different types of problems, communication problems. It may be intimacy or lack of intimacy or frustrating intimacy. It could be a lack of trust. It could be a lack of respect. It could be all sorts of symptoms. But the root issue is marriage cancer, is getting to the root of what is creating these problems. And until you get it, it's going to be like whack-a-mole. You're not going to be able to solve the problem in your marriage. And which is why she will move from one thing to the next, which is why you could do her list and she will still move on and say, no, it's something else. Or complain about the same thing again, or blame you, or shut down. Because you're not healing the root of what has been going on and what has not been going on. So another mistake guys make, and what makes marriage cancer worse, is they focus on the symptoms. Because every time you focus on the symptom, and every time you say, you take what you're saying at face value without going deeper, it actually confirms to her that you don't get it. Mistake number 3, having good intentions. Now, it's good to have good intentions, but together with good intentions, you actually have to know what to do, what not to do. It's not enough to have good intentions. It's not just enough to become a good person or to work on becoming a better man. I've seen thousands of guys who work on becoming a better man, and they still limp along until divorce, okay? So there's no real connection. The problem if you just work on becoming a better person and you guess your way through the process of healing your marriage is that it actually could be very easy. Again, when you have marriage cancer in your relationship, it's very easy for your wife to misunderstand you. Extremely easy. You could do a little thing and you may not even realize what that thing is, and she could decide that you are manipulating her, that you're being controlling, that you're being desperate, that you have an agenda, that you're not sincere, that your changes aren't real. The list goes on and on. It's very easy for her to misunderstand you when you have marriage cancer, which leads to the next point, is that a mistake number 4 guys make is that they ignore the fact that they're stuck. Now, what does that mean? When you put your heart into a relationship and you put your heart into the marriage and you want to fix and you want to work in it, but you feel you're not getting it anywhere, besides the fact that you're wasting time, it very often starts backfiring at you, like I said, because it's very easy for her to misunderstand you. In most common ways she misunderstands will be her saying that you're being desperate or you're being manipulative, even if it's not true. But what happens is over time, it makes it very easy for you to give up. And that's the bigger problem over here. Because there's only so much a person, a man, a human being really can invest in a relationship without seeing a reward, without seeing a result, without seeing some form of progress or a confirmation that we're getting somewhere, right? So, but the second thing is that it also, and this is a mistake guys don't realize, you can't ignore the fact that you have marriage cancer. You can't ignore the fact that you're stuck because it's going to affect you emotionally. It's going to sometimes make you angry. If it doesn't make you angry, it's going to make you shut down sometimes. It's going to make you withdraw, not just in terms of giving up, but it's going to lead to sometimes an emotional cycle of anger or frustration or rage without realizing it, which actually causes more damage to the marriage. But that comes from a guy not respecting the process and not realizing, hey, 1 second, this is a real issue that I got to fix. So again, ignoring that is another warning sign. Now the question is, okay, how do you fix marriage cancer? How do you, so in other words, what is the root of it? Like, what is actually generating it? What is creating that stuckness in the relationship? So the key is to get to the root. And let me give you an example. In every marriage cancer situation, there are a lot of problems. Let's say separation, divorce, or not separation, divorce, intimacy, communication, respect, finances, kids, disagreements, but there's so many different shutting down, arguing, explosions that come out of nowhere, misunderstandings, hurt feelings, possible affairs. There's so many different problems. Now, the key over here is to get to the root of the main problem that's causing all the rest of the problems. And give you an example. Let's say there's one skill. The skill is to identify problems in your marriage while they're small and easy to fix, right? That may be one problem a marriage has, a husband has. If the husband can actually see problems in his relationship while they're small and easy to fix, then that could solve 10, 20, 30 problems. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's the key over here is to look at the foundation, at the root, and I'll explain to you exactly what I mean. So there are really two things that you need to know about what creates the marriage cancer, and of course that's the solution to healing it. What creates marriage cancer is really a disconnect in the heart where a husband has 100% unconditional love for his wife, but she doesn't feel it and trust it. That's what it comes down to. There's another thing I'll explain in a minute, but that's the first thing, that the husband has real unconditional love for his wife. How many of you watching this right now say, yes, I have unconditional love for my wife, 100%? How many of you are like that? Answer this question honestly. Feel free to put your comment over here in the chat. How many of you have 100% unconditional love for your wife? Now on to the next question. How much of that love does she feel and trust? Approximately. Nobody knows exactly. Approximately. How much percent of your love does she actually feel and trust? 20%, 50%, 60, 30%? Answer the question honestly. All right? Because that is the beginning to understanding the disconnect that is happening in the relationship. That is where the marriage cancer is really hiding. If you do a lot of things for her, but she doesn't actually feel your love, then not only is it frustrating for you, it's actually frustrating for her too, because she starts seeing it the wrong way. She starts seeing it as manipulation. She starts seeing it as desperation. She starts seeing it as control. So if your wife, for example, just has a love for you, like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Or you feel like she loves you, but like a love that a co-parent has for another. It's not a love that she has for you as a lover the way she used to love you. Or she has a love for you which is similar to a brother-sister love or father-daughter love. It's not a love of lovers. It's a love of a parental love or family love. But that's not what you're looking for. That's not what you wanted. That's not really how the connection between you and her started. So when that is going on in a relationship, it's sort of like the love she has for you is stuck in her head, but it doesn't go into her heart. That is marriage cancer. That is marriage cancer, and the things that led up to create that is marriage cancer. And once you solve it, once she can actually feel your love, then all the details don't really matter. All the specifics don't matter. The separation, the divorce, the intimacy, communication, these things fall into place because when she felt your love, nobody had to teach you how to communicate. It was automatic. Nobody had to give you classes how to communicate. In fact, communication classes that therapists do will typically only help you, have an amicable divorce or have more peace of mind or make you feel better about yourself. Maybe it may make you a little bit of a better parent, perhaps. But it won't actually heal an intimate relationship because you never fell in love with communication. You fell in love because you had a connection. So similarly, you have to solve the connection, and you have to be able, the solution to healing marriage cancer is for you to be able to identify and see, what am I saying or doing which is blocking her from feeling love? What are the specific things that are going on which is not communicating the love that I actually have for her? Because that's where it all comes down to. I'll say it another way. When people feel love, nobody has to teach them how to communicate. Nobody has to work on the symptoms. Things work out automatically. But the question is, of course, why doesn't she feel my love? Okay, let's go a little deeper. So what happens is, over time in a marriage, I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm going to tell you a powerful secret. Over time in a marriage, as there are frustrations that build up between a couple, the woman starts talking to the memory of her husband. In other words, she might be talking to you. It might look like she's talking to you. It might look like she's interacting and communicating with you today, but she's actually not. She's actually talking to a memory of you. Over time, she's built up an image of you in her head, which is not true. And this is the root of marriage cancer. The root of marriage cancer, and the place to focus on in order to heal it, is by understanding there's something stuck in her head about you. She has an opinion about you, which is not true. It may have been true, but it's no longer true, and she's stuck with it. Like I said, she may think you're desperate. She may think you're controlling. She may think that you're manipulative. And that prevents her from feeling love. No different than you would feel when, if you're, let's say you're in a restaurant, right? And the waiter serves you and takes care of you and gives you a fantastic waiter. Let's say it's a place where there are no tips. So he's not doing it to get a tip. He's doing it just because that's his job, and his heart is in it. He cares about you. He's an awesome waiter. Awesome. He serves you. He knows what you want. He keeps coming to check on you. What else do you need? And he's just a pleasant person. And like I said, he's not doing it to get a tip. He's just doing it because in that restaurant there's no tips. That's the quality of, high standard. Whatever. I'm making up a thing, all right? Now make believe. No, so you would feel appreciation for this guy, right? You'd feel, hey, this guy's a good guy. He's caring. He's professional. He's being mindful of the service he's delivering. Now imagine that the waiter that was serving you was a cat. It was a trained cat. I've spoken about this many times in other things, the story about the cat. We can't go into it. We're sort of running short on time over here. But there's a trained cat standing on his back legs that serves you your food. Everything the same exactly like the other waiter. The napkins, the service, the food is delicious, and the cat somehow knows everything you want. Would you feel the same appreciation for the cat? Would you feel the same amount of of gratitude? Would you feel that the cat cares? Or no, you would say, let me know in the comments. Or would you say, no, this cat is obviously trained. Somebody's telling the cat what to do. Somehow they managed to train this cat how to stand on its back legs and serve. And it's very cute. It's very cute. It's adorable. But it doesn't really understand what it's doing. It doesn't understand service. It doesn't appreciate the fact that it's serving somebody and caring about that person's meal and comfort and providing a great dining experience. It's just doing what it's trained to do. Let me know in the comments. What is it? When do you feel that somebody cares about you? You wouldn't feel if it was a cat. You would feel it more if it was a human being. Okay, I'm just giving you an example of what happens mentally in a woman's heart when there's when there's marriage cancer, is that she starts developing in her mind an idea of you which isn't you. She starts feeling on some level emotionally that you're a cat, that you're not real, that you're not really caring about her, that you really have your own agenda. You're just desperate. You're controlling. You're manipulative. You have an agenda. You're angry. Whatever it is that she has a story about you in her head, a memory based on the past, a memory accumulated from the past, and she's not talking to you. She's talking to the memory of you. This is where marriage cancer really drives a marriage. where it hurts the marriage. And this is where the focus has to be in order to heal the marriage. To literally, in a simple way, if you guys are still with me, that for you to know, when am I communicating to her in a way that she sees my love, she sees I'm a waiter, and when am I communicating to her in a way that she doesn't feel my love, she feels like I'm a cat, like I'm faking. That is the key. That is the true key to understanding how to turn around a marriage cancer. And because every single time, listen carefully, guys, every single time you make an investment in the relationship and she doesn't feel the love, it actually works against you, which is why guessing is dangerous, because it reinforces the picture in her head that you're desperate or controlling or manipulative. I keep using those examples because they're easy to understand, but it keeps reinforcing any negative image she has in your head. If you don't understand what the negative image is, how it got there, and how to turn it around, you're going to be coming up against, the more you do, the worse you look, because you're feeding the wrong picture in her head. I hope that makes sense to you.